Hi all, just wanted to give you a quick refresher on basic masking in Photoshop, in addition to a couple of things that we didn't get to go over last week. So, how do you create a mask? I'm going to select the layer in my Layers panel with the object I'm going to be masking. In this fourth tool down, you can really select any of them. There's going to be a button in your control bar at the top that says Select Subject. Now, with this layer selected, and you can tell because it's highlighted a lighter gray, I'm going to hit Select Subject, and it's going to create a pretty accurate selection. From here, I can hit the Mask tool, this rectangle with a circle, right here, or down here in my Layers panel. And there you go. It creates a really basic layer mask. Now, how do you define it if you want a little bit more detail? So something like the orange has a couple more curved edges, so we're going to be able to define our mask a little bit more. So this doesn't even have a lot of color edits to it, but again, if you want to remember how to do that, you can select a smart object layer. Again, a smart object has this little file folder icon. Go to Image, Levels, and we'll at least brighten it up. So our background is a nicer bright white. If you want to adjust colors, you go to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. Command L, by the way, is the hotkey for levels, Command U for hue and saturation. Here, you can change this to kind of any color you like, but I think I'm just going to saturate it a little bit to give that orange a bit more punch. Let's bring it down to 30. Cool. All right. Now I feel pretty good about masking. I'm going to have my layer selected and my magic wand tool selected so I can hit the button that says Select Subject. There we go. Now, zooming in, it does a pretty good job at getting all of these little edges. However, if we want to make it a little bit more refined, we could hit the button that says Select and Mask. Now, this brings up a new panel. There's a lot of different features that allows us to adjust our mask and make it really, really smooth and clean. There's a couple of different views, so if yours doesn't look like this, it might look like something that's called onion skin, where you can change the transparency or opacity of the background. So 0 transparency means we still see that paper background. 100% means it's totally white, we can't see it anymore. It's a lot more evident on backgrounds that are a little bit busier. I really like working with overlay though, because you can change the color of the overlay and it makes it really apparent where our mask is going to be. Now, the most important things that we can do is something that is under global refinements. There's lots of different modules. I really just work with this one. So we can zoom in a little bit and go into smoothing. So smoothing is going to take our mask selection and literally just smooth it out a little bit. You can see once you punch it up really, really high, the edges of our mask gets really, really rounded. Now, there's a lot of little bumps and curves that we still want to maintain, so we can move it down. You can see as I'm moving the bar down, it's getting close, but still a bit smoothed out, not too pixelated. That looks good. We can go to feather, which basically softens the edges of your mask. It almost gives it a bit of a glow. So the more I move it out, you can see the edges of my mask get really soft. It almost looks like it's glowing on the outside. That means the edge of my mask is going to be a little bit transparent. There's going to be a transition between a very solid mask and then my image. So we'll feather it out just a little bit. Alternatively, you could do something like contrast, which is making your edges of the mask sharper. But again, we want it to be a bit smooth. Now, this is kind of the biggest hack of them all. Shift Edge is currently set at 0 and the slider is in the middle. Shift Edge allows you to contract or expand the edge of the mask. So something like making it bigger, you can see that the edge of the mask is going outside. If we make and shift the edge in, you can see that it's going inside. Now this is really great because you can kind of cover the hard edges of the mask a little bit and then make ultimately your section really clean looking. So I'm going to reduce, I think, the feathering a little bit, shift edge inside. There's a little bit of this red overlay on everything. That looks good. I'm going to hit OK and then hit mask. Great. So I'm going to have a really, really soft edge around my orange. Now, if I just want to double check to see how my mask actually looks, and I want to add this sort of color-filled background, I can go under this Layers and Adjustments panel here at the bottom of the Layers panel, Solid Color, I'll just choose black, and move this underneath. You can see as we zoom in, there's this really, really soft layer to our orange. But say I want to adjust that. Maybe the feathering is a little bit too much. That's okay. I can go back to my layer, hit select and mask, wait for it to load, and maybe increase the contrast of my mask. So now it's going to be just a wee bit sharper than it was before. That still feels good. I'm going to hit OK, and it automatically applies. So that is how to do a really basic masking with our round orange in Photoshop, and then a little bit more of a refined mask using select and mask.